So you're not drafted a quarterback and you're signing Case Keenum, which, again, 5 months ago,
you wouldn't have said that sentence.
No, you'd be taking me to the hospital to make sure I didn't swallow bleach. Like
Tide Pods.
Millennials, get it together. Do you realize those that are eating Tide Pods get to vote in the next presidential election? Go and look at those videos and tell me how many of them have voting rights in 3 years. Yeah, exactly. We digress.
You're a viewer, and yes, I'm a doer.
Speaking of Belichick, this game this weekend.
We're prepared for Jacksonville.
Tom Brady takes a press conference like Dan Marino with his isotoner gloves on.
It hurts right here. You got that ball?
Yeah.
Let's get that ball. We had we'll get to that, but we had a fun discussion about hand size in the draft and why certain players can't hold the damn ball. And there is the ball is like you said. The ball I have is a little inflated. It's official NFL ball. However, this is what a 10.5-inch hand looks like on a football. So that just gives you a reference to that. Yours was what?
Mine's 9 3/4, which is still big.
Which is crazy.
Which is still big. So my hand, as you can see, doesn't cover the width that Mario's does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can still get around the ball, and that's fine. But the problem is, if we are in wet conditions, I'm going to have problems, right? That's going to be what happens. That's just the way it is, right? So this ball is, it's right there. But so when you talk about a guy who's got hand size and it's 9 1/4, like that's something really to worry about because that guy's going to be wearing gloves in cold weather.
Yes.
He's going to be wearing gloves.
And even though they wear gloves, it gets a little slippery.
Yeah.
That being said, transferring it back to Tom Brady and this weekend, or this, the prediction for the game, we had talked about it briefly. I think if Jacksonville's not up 14 at the half, it's going to be a problem.
Jacksonville's got to score 14 first. Honestly, I think we're going to see another game a lot like the Bills game because the Patriots have just been pounding guys with the rock for weeks. And I'm just assuming that, I'm under the assumption that Brady is hurt. Although there's no penalty in the rule book for putting a guy in the injury report who's not injured.
No.
And as a fantasy owner of Tom Brady, I can tell you there's lots of weeks he hasn't practiced.
Get out.
It's not a surprise to see him not practicing. It is a little bit of a surprise given the time of year, but they're saying there's an injury. I'm going to assume that it's legitimate, although I have absolutely no reason to believe that. I'm going to assume the injury is legitimate. So I'm thinking Brady throws the ball, 21, 22 times a game? Right? That's what I'm assuming, which really right now isn't all that off of where their production's been in the past game. So, yeah, are they going against a great run defense? Sure, but I think they're going to depend on Brady thinking his way around the Jacksonville defense. I think that's a good opportunity for them. But if I've got money to put on this game, I'm not betting a winner or a loser. I'm just betting the under. If the under's 42, I'm betting the under.
In 11 career conference championship games. I know it sounds disgusting, right? This is his 12th conference championship game.
That's ridiculous.
7th straight. But in his previous 11, he's 7-4. He has 15 touchdowns, 12 picks.
That's crazy.
Wait.
So in 11 games, he's only got 15 touchdown passes?
He only has 15 touchdown passes, which is the reason. And I'll correct myself. I'm pretty sure that in those 11 games, I think he's had a 100-yard rusher 6 times. But I remember the one game Blunt ran for like $148 or $150 or something like that. Remember the first game that he played in, he didn't finish the game. He went out when it was 7-3. However, that 7 was a Troy Brown punt return. And then Drew Bledsoe took it home for him.
Oh, I remember that.
So that first one, you could say what it is. However, when you look at the counterpart to Brady in those 11 games, in the games that New England has won, Brady's counterpart has 6 touchdowns to 16 picks.
Wow.
In the games that Brady has lost, his counterpart has 8 touchdowns, 1 pick.
That's a huge swing.
So
It's
how
about New England driving down the like that stat to me highlights the fact that New England just going to try and make the game as short as possible. That's the game plan. Get ahead, make it a short game.
It's weird though because when you think about Blake Bortles, now the only guys to beat Brady was Manning 3 times and Flacco. The guys to lose, you got Cordell Stewart, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers.
All right, so there's a couple legitimate quarterbacks in there.
Manning, of course, he lost one. But when you think about that, where does Blake Bortles fall in that category? Is he more of the...
If you were to put the entire NFL back in a draft, Blake Bortles would go undrafted. If you were to redraft the whole league, Bortles, it very possibly could go undrafted. Like, every team has to refill their roster.
I don't know. I only say I don't know because the dreaded P word.
Potential?
Yes.
No, that potential's gone, man. Kiss that goodbye.
He can make every throw. He's a big guy. That's something that a coach would like to mold, even though no one has molded it yet. You think Hackett's is big? You think he's going to develop a quarterback?
Of course not, but Blake Bortles reads a defense like I read Mandarin. I don't know what it is. If I was in a country where Mandarin was the language, I would just have to deal with it, and that's kind of like Blake Bortles. He got hired for a job. He doesn't really know what it is, but he's just out there doing what he can, just trying hard, and running for his life. He's running for his life.
When in doubt, give it to Leo. That's all.
What is that from?
Nothing. I was just saying it. Give it to Fournette.
Oh.
When in doubt.
It's like, I missed that. I can't imagine this game scoring a combined over 42 points.
I think it's going to be Brady's not going to be the deciding factor in this game. I'm going to go out and just say that. He will play an efficient game. He may go, I'm going to say 22 for 27.
I think he's only going to have 5 incomplete passes.
Because we talked about, for 2 weeks now, Jacksonville's speed being ridiculous. They can get, they're like probably one of the only teams that's fast enough to guard those intermediate throws from Gronk, from Amendola.
Sure.
And all that stuff. I mean, you got to realize New England's had an 8-yard passing tree for the last 15 years.
Jacksonville can counter that.
Yeah, they can run with that. They're fast enough that they don't have to bracket those receivers if they had to. But Brady still knows. I mean, for all these years, as much as we don't like the guy, he puts the ball in the right spot within 10 yards.
You can't knock his ball placement. You know what I mean? Like, there's...
To crush the haters at a pretty ferocious pace.
But we do have another game.
Nick Foles for president.
Nick Foles versus Case Keenum. I'm going to tell you right now, if Brady is not in the Super Bowl, you're going to see a different draft this year. You're going to see a vastly different draft.
Why do you say that?
3 out of the 4 guys are essentially journeymen.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh, no.
Bortles will be a journeyman after this year. He's going to be the second quarter. If he wins the Super Bowl this year...
So you're saying he's playing Gabbert? Bortles is playing Gabbert.
He's Trent Dilfer. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, he'll get cut. They're not going to they have no reason to. But my point of being is this. You have 3 out of the last 4 quarterbacks are journeyman players riding solid defenses. I mean, Jim Schwartz has done a fabulous job in Philly.
Yeah.
Zimmer and the boys in Minnesota, phenomenal. And Jacksonville, as we talked about before, that defense is just lights out speed. So my prediction is to start everything off. My prediction is that Minnesota is going to kill Philly. And my reasoning for that is, even though everyone thinks it's going to be a hotly contested defensive battle, my reason for that is I was doing some research throughout the year. Did you know that the opponents for the Eagles this year rivaled the 72 Dolphins as far as win percentage?
What do you mean?
Well, I did it initially through 14 games, and I did it at the end of the year because in 72 they only played 14 regular season games. I believe that the winning percentage of the opponents that the Dolphins faced was like .38 or something like that, or .36, and the Eagles through 14 games was .39. Like they're.
I mean, there is something to be said for a team that wins as many games as they did and doesn't have a running game, right? There's something to be said for that. Look at how many running backs they've had this year.
They have some solid studs, though.
Yeah, but they don't produce. Like, you have a Jai, Blunt, Wendell Smallwood, Darren Sproles. Like, they're just trolling these guys.
It could have been one of those scenarios where you get a guy like, oh, Wentz is in his second year. They got Blunt back there. They got a Jai. Who are you going to focus on? You're going to try to focus on the running game. I mean, that's why Goff was so successful this year. They focused on the running game. Didn't help much because Gurley was an animal.
Yeah, but comparing Blunt to Gurley is.
No, I'm saying the focus of the defense. Like, listen, okay, we're going to try to make this guy beat us, not the running game.
Right.
We're trying to make that guy beat us. And yeah, when you got Sammy and Woods and all those guys, you're gonna have to. You can't put 8 in the box.
Philadelphia has done more with less than Minnesota has this year. You look at Minnesota's team and defense, and even the offense. Like, let's not forget, Minnesota's got an outstanding running back coming back next year in Dalvin Cook. He is outstanding. They're gonna have to make a decision at quarterback, and they're gonna have 3 on the roster, presumably. Keenum is making a case to start. I mean, here's the thing: when you have a journeyman quarterback, could it be a 1-year splash in the pan? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, this might just be the right system for him. So then it becomes, can we retain the system and this quarterback? And if you can't, then you go with the guy who's proven to be successful, and that would be Bradford, amazingly enough, or even Bridgewater. Bridgewater wasn't terrible.
No.
It wasn't terrible.
It's almost like these 3 guys are asking out the same. These 3 guys are asking out the same girl to prom.
Sure.
Like, whoa, she will go with you if you ask her, but all 3 of them have to get there first to ask. Mm-hmm. But so, I mean, Bradford set the single season completion percentage in this offense. Mm-hmm. Bridgewater was having success with it before he got hurt. Keenum's having success. Like, who?
Right, it's a system.
It's amazing.
The
system's amazing. So all 3 of these guys are trying to. Bradford, who historically wasn't, the guy, but always got these ridiculous contracts and always was sought after, which I didn't understand. I still don't understand it.
Bradford is like a more successful Matt Flynn. Remember Matt Flynn? Matt Flynn. You mean kicked around the league?
The guy that got $10 million to take a 2-year vacation in Seattle?
That's right. He did. But Bradford keeps kicking around.
So what's your prediction for the game? Minnesota-Philly.
So, this is multi-level, but I really think Philly's going to win. And if you take Philadelphia's offense and puts it against Minnesota's defense, that's a no-brainer. Minnesota's defense should win that matchup.
Yes.
They should win that matchup. The difference is, I really just think Philly is going to be successful enough that they'll catch one break on defense that puts them in scoring territory, and it's going to be a 1-possession game that flips it over. I can't see Minnesota's offense securing the ball the entire game without giving Philly at least one additional chance. I just don't have the faith in Keenum that he's not going to flip an INT on his own 30. I don't have that faith. Now, we could say the same thing about Foles, except Foles has a tendency to take care of the ball a little bit better than Keenum.
He does.
So, it's not going to be an exciting game. I mean, Minnesota's been exciting. You can't beat the way that the New Orleans game ended, but that's not going to happen again. You're not going to see a game like that again. It's going to be a 1-possession game. I think Keenum's going to flip it on an INT with their back against the wall, and that's going to put the game over.
Wow.
So that's what
I don't doubt that happening. Can I put a little addition to that?
Sure.
I think that and this is just to throw it out there. I think that Keenum, the pick that you're referencing, or the turnover you're referencing, is that he's going to be so gassed up that it's not going to be his fault to pick. Like, he's not going to put enough touch on a ball, and it'll go off the receiver.
Sure.
Or one of those fluke plays that'll happen because karma seems to rear its ugly head quick in the NFL. I don't know. I can't separate from the fact that I've seen the level of competition that the Eagles have played all year, and the high level that the Vikings have played at, and I just see the Vikings just tearing through them.
Video and audio clips brought to you by Jimmy Preston at AbsoluteSavage.com. Thanks, Jim. Good work out there.
See ya, dink! If you guys at home think you have what it takes,